I'm sure that a lot of my viewing audience is familiar with the Sony Handycam. Heaven knows I've certainly got a lot of them. But if you were wondering what the Handycam looked like when it was first introduced, well, now you know. Yes, indeed, this is Sony's first ever Handycam. The CCD-M8, or in my case, M8U, because this is the North American NTSC model. Introduced in 1985, although my particular example was made in the first quarter of 1986, as evidenced by that 6A down there. That is the first quarter of 1986. There, of course, is the serial number. It runs on DC 6 volts, although the power supply actually puts out 8.5 volts. Doesn't seem to mind it, though. But this is where everything started for Sony. I'm not going to get too in-depth with this, because V Westlife actually has a pretty good video on his channel of the CCD-M8. So I'm going to touch on the basics here. I love how they call it a safety, you know, as if it's like a gun or something. It's just a little lens cap. You can see it's not a very big lens. Sun-op door. An f-stop of 15 millimeters. There's no zoom, and it is fixed focus. You get 3 different focusing positions: close up, medium distance, and far away. And 2 manual white balance settings. There are basically no automatic controls at all. In fact, there really isn't much of anything, because this features no ability to play back recordings. It is strictly a recorder, which is one of the reasons why these things really didn't take off at the time, is because, well, you needed to buy a VCR, an 8mm VCR, to watch what you just recorded, you know. Spend a couple $100s on camera and then spend a couple $100s on a VCR. It was not a winning proposition. Anyway, you get some indicators there. There is no view screen, there is no viewfinder other than this, which is nothing more than just a little peephole that goes from the front of the camera, right here, all the way to the back. And there's some indicators in there as well, for what you can see there. There's a tape eject. There's battery eject here. And you can actually take this whole sidecar off, or the grip as they call it. There's a record button. And the power supply goes in the front. It takes one of the older style, the original style, of batteries or AC adapters. I'm obviously going to use an AC adapter. I have no way of charging this battery, and even if I did, I have my doubts that it works. There is supposed to be a door over this. I have the door, but it was loose when I got it, and I'll admit that thing's got me puzzled. I have no idea how it's actually supposed to go in there. And the other thing that we have here is this microphone, which actually slides forward and back on this little track, and that's loose. I think there's supposed to be a piece there that's broken off, so if I push it back too far, it'll actually pop out. It's got this little connector that puts it into the camera body. The foam is split at the front, but it doesn't disintegrate in my hand, at least not totally, so it's not in too bad a condition. I'm actually recording this video right now on a Sony Handycam CCD-TRV-128, which isn't the last ever analog 8mm camcorder Sony produced, but it is definitely among the last. I don't know when it was introduced. The service manual that I downloaded had a list date of 2003 on it, so quite a bit older than the TRV-138, which was the last ever high-8 Handycam from Sony. That was introduced in 2007. I can't really find any more information on this camera, and I'll be honest with you, for a high-8 camcorder, this thing is kind of a piece of junk. Like, I got VHS-C cameras that shoot better quality video than this thing does, and the reason why is because Sony used a much smaller image sensor with a lower resolution than a lot of their older cameras. So while the low light sensitivity is really good, and on top of that it's got a video light, which really you can't even see, it's too bright in here for that, and it's also got night shot. But even without all of that, the low light sensitivity is really good, but the resolution is really bad, so that's definitely one of the issues with these newer cameras. Like I said, a lot of the older ones blow it right out of the water. But I mean, size-wise, the CCD-M8 is actually a lot smaller than I anticipated it being. It's not that much. In fact, I think it is actually smaller than this much later CCD-TR818, and it's not that much bigger than this TRV-128. But of course, the main limitation with the size of these cameras is not so much, as V. Westlife put it, it's not so much the electronics, it is the size of the tape. I mean, you've got to be able to stuff that kind of thing in there, so you can only make them so small. But even still, it's a lot smaller than I anticipated it being. I mean, I was expecting it to be more along the lines of this camera here, which is a CCD V1 from around the same time period. It's just a year newer. This one was manufactured in 1986, this one 1987. I don't know when they introduced the V1, but it's the same basic design, manual white balance. Somewhere on this there is a manual focus control. I think it's under here. I can't really access it right now, but there is a manual focus control, and you do get an LCD status screen and a remote control, and also a video output, where this you don't get that. This is, like I said, strictly a recorder only. It's still pretty limited. You can't play back your recordings. So, I guess there's one thing. We'll go ahead and we'll have a comparison of these two cameras and the video quality that you get out of them. I'll give you a fair warning, it's really not that great. For 1985, and for being as small as they are, it's not terrible. But you could get a lot better camcorders in 1985, and even 1987, certainly 1987. You could get much better camcorders than these things. Either way, let's go ahead and switch over to them. Okay, in theory we are now recording on the Sony Handycam CCD-V1. I don't really know, the focus is not really all that great. We'll go ahead and we'll put it into medium right now. I think I should probably have it in close-up, but you can't obviously do close-ups with this camera, and I found that in using it, it's really not all that clear what exactly qualifies as close-up and what doesn't. So the camera works, so I guess that's all that really matters. I will have, I do have another video of this camera, so I'm not going to get too much into it. I just wanted to go ahead and include some video footage from it so you can see what it's capable of. Alright, let's go ahead and switch over to the CCD-M8. I don't know if it's on or not. I got an L, which tells me low light, as well as T for running, so it is recording. Alright, now we are recording on the CCD-M8, which is a real pain to try and get started. I don't know what was going on there, but it would not. It would go into standby and then you wouldn't be able to start recording, so I'm not really sure, again, what focus is supposed to be in. It looks perfectly in focus on the view screen. The view screen is completely useless for judging these things, so switch it over to medium, which I believe is not that. Far away. There. Then close up. I believe it is, no, it's on outdoor white balance right now, so we'll leave that alone. Switch it to indoor, which is what it's supposed to be set at. It is definitely complaining about low light, but there really isn't much that I can do about that. If I put it at the light, then it stops complaining, but obviously you're not going to be pointing at the light the whole time. I'm not I suppose we will find out once I go ahead and import this footage and have a look at it, assuming that it is actually working correctly. So unfortunately, it looks like this particular camera has a tracking issue, but still a neat little piece to have in the collection nonetheless. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. Hope to see you next time. Till then.